Hello, welcome to Flooring Models Kit Review Time. Today we've got Eduard's reboxing of Hasegawa's F8 Crusader. Now this is a beautiful kit, absolutely lovely. I built this one as a Hasegawa one and it's lovely to see Eduard have done their bit to it, which, let's face it, is always the nicety bits that the kit sometimes is lacking. But honestly, this particular kit is pretty nice. It's really much, I think, one of the best kits that Hasegawa has ever done. It's got beautiful details in this one and I know it well, but by Eduard really popping in and redoing the wheels, popping those in, and then the seat, and then as we know we're going to get beautiful markings down in here, then it's going to be absolutely stunning. So as you can see, beautiful box art on the front with the Crusader, obviously known as the last gunfighters. It's a vault aircraft, so thinking from the stable makes that this particular aircraft has got like the actual Corsair, things like that. It is stunning, and then having this variable geometry top wing, which I think was about 7 to 10 degrees, I think it was, gave the pilot great visibility, and it made it that this thing could land on a carrier doing only 100 knots as well, which is actually something for something that is so big. Okay, obviously extensively seen during the Vietnam War and then later years, okay? But looking around on the box, you can see we get some beautiful markings down in here, and if you're a Flooring Models follower, you'll know this is a mini Buster, which, bless him, and there's Buster's markings as we did him in, okay? But as you can see, other beautiful markings down in there as well. As you can see, Eduard have really done their homework with these and come up with some really nice ones. So the item number on this one is 11110, part of their Furball collection. Okay, so you can see down on there, and we get a few of the items that we get down there. And as I said before, we get the seat, which is a really nice touch. We also actually going to get the actual wheels for it, which again, a very nice touch with it, and obviously cartograph printed decals, and there's a little bit of photo etch in there as well. Okay, so in the box itself, we get the, if I can get in, there we go. We get the kit, which this is how they come. They are technically just like that, the kit, which is the Hasegawa kit, just in the box. Okay, the nicety bits, to be honest, are all of these. Okay, so we've got the resin parts down in there, we've got colour photo etch set, beautiful decal sheet, and we've got correction sheet. Oh, hello, this is different. Correction sheet for colour profiles and stenciling positions. Right, okay, looks like somebody made a bit of a furball, shall we say. So, going through the instructions, usual thing, we've got all about the actual aircraft itself, so a little bit of the brief history, and then into the build, we can see it is straightforward, just as you'd imagine most of their kits have done. So we've got the usual parts layout, what we've got down in the kit. We've got quite a lot of photo etch, actually, more than I thought we would get. Okay, and then obviously the resin parts, and then we've got the mask set as well. So usual thing, if it's in red, means you've got to sand it back, because that's going to make way for the photo etch parts to go on. So usual thing, as I always say, great thing to do, the easiest thing you can do to upgrade any cockpit, 1/48 scale, or anything scale really, is to pop a colour photo etch set in there. If you're not very good at painting, these are the things to do. Okay, so that's what that is replacing all in there, fair enough. The actual intake itself, obviously quite an important part. You might want to take care of the centre seams, the seams as this comes together, just the early parts. It's very noticeable on that aircraft. It's got a big old mouth down there. If you've got any type of light around, you're going to see quite a long way down into it. So it is well worth trying to sand it down, a little bit of filler work if required, just to smooth out all the sort of nasties you can get down in there. Okay, working down with the actual main wheel well itself, we've got polycaps that are going to go in the back. Okay, just to hold the actual gear in, and then we've got the tail hook area and painting up the tail hook, or you've got a decal option for it, which is probably the easier way of doing it. A little bit of photo etch going down on the inside, a little bit of trimming work required just to knock it back a little bit, I assume to make way for the seat as you go down in there. And then working around the rest of it, we've got a nice bit of photo etch as well. We've got this box area at the top, which is actually the top of the engine system and intake system, as it works down over the top of the main wheel well before we actually get to the engine. Engine's further back. Okay, so that one is in there. You are going to notice this if it allows you to have it in the open position, which I'm not sure if it does or doesn't in this particular kit. Okay, so there's that one going on down in there. Wing section, we don't have an option to fold the wings, they obviously just come out, okay, but you do get the option to actually have the flaps deployed if you want to do it that way. Okay, you can have the wing system up as well, which is a nice touch, and then obviously there's the flaps and slats and all the various bits being put on there onto the wing section. Okay, another little bit of photo etch, which is a nice touch on the actual forward edge of the actual wing box system, so if it is in the uplifted position you'll see that, and a nice bit of detail can be added there. Main wheels and gears and everything else being fitted down in there as we'd expect. A little bit of photo etch here and there just to liven things up. And then obviously fitting down the tail planes that are going on there, the little strakes on the underside, the door areas, things like that. Engine being fitted down into the back of that one, and a lot of the scoops going in. And then we've got this beautiful resin and photo etch aftermarket seat system being fitted and being put together. It's ready to go in the model just like that. Canopy again, we've got a little bit of photo etch up around that area, which is really nice. And again, a little bit of facing down as well. So that's a nice touch with that one, because obviously you can have the canopy face open, and then more photo etch and various parts going in there, which is fair enough. Seat going in, saying that you don't need glue, so it's just going to be a loose fit just down in there. And then obviously we've got that little sight being fitted down onto the front of the windscreen, being fitted in and put in just like that. Okay, then obviously fitting it, we do get the little step at the back, which is what lifts it all up and everything else like that. But normally you get one in the middle, which is going to be this one here, fits up, and then it will drop down into that corner. Okay, just to give the actual wing box a lifted system, so you have got obviously up or down fitted in depending on decals and markings and various things, as you can imagine. We've got the big old zoomy rocket pods being fitted in, which I always think the Crusader looks very nice in, or if you wanted to, obviously you can just fit it with a sidewinder. Okay, so those are being fitted in there like that. It looks like it doesn't have the, yes it does have the pylons, sorry for the underwing, but obviously you won't get any stores because this is Hasegawa. So it is nice touch. So you actually do get the zoomy rockets for it, which is probably what you're going to have to go with, because obviously all the other weapons don't come in the kit. Okay, decal placement, so obviously all the canopies and all the little lights and wheels and everything else. So that's showing you that one down there. And then we're into the markings, which we assume there's a little bit of controversy here between the markings, because we do get another book, which is quite rightly so. Somebody forgot to put the white. That's what this is, everybody. Nobody printed the white colour on the actual profile. So we'll skip that book there and we'll move over to this one. So we've got beautiful colour profiles down in here. So we've got the Death Angels down on this one. This is the one we did, the Red Lightnings. Obviously we did the Buster many years ago, which must be almost 10 years ago now, I think we did that. Okay, then we've got this other one down in here, the Hunters, which is very nice if you like the black markings on there. And then we've actually got the Checkmates, which is obviously one of my favourite squadrons, as a lot of you all know. We've got theirs down in there like that. And then over here we've got Satan's Kittens, obviously another beautiful one. And then we've got the generic placements for all the stencil data and everything else like that. Okay, so that's those put on, and on the top side and showing for the wings. Nice touch that they've actually noticed it and reprinted that entire back area, because that's all it is. They forgot to put the white bottoms on the actual side profile view, so there we go. To be honest, I'm not going to worry about getting these decals out. They're cartographed, they're going to be perfect and gorgeous and everything else like that. We know what their decals are. I've never seen a problem with them, and to be honest, they are my favourite decals of all. Nice little touch. You can probably see just down on here, we've actually got the little seals that go around the actual canopy set, so around the actual main canopy and around the front windscreens and all those areas. This is that thin yellow beading that we sometimes have to do aftermarket with either masking it off and spraying it, or we use ultra thin tapes to recreate. So actually you get that as a decal, which is a nice touch with that one. So the kit itself, we've got the resin parts to start with. Have a look at the extras. Okay, we have a beautiful resin seat, as you can see. Really very nice indeed. We've got a couple of lumps and bumps, as you might be able to notice down there. We've got some wheels. These are the brakes, beautifully done, very nicely sorted out. We've got main gear 1, main gear 2, very nice indeed. Nose wheel, again, beautifully cast. I do like their stuff, I must admit. I am a bit of a fanboy for their gear. We've got the back padded for the actual seat itself. Again, beautifully done, very nice on those. Then we got the colour photo etch set, which we were saying is absolutely beautiful, very detailed down in here. And again, if you're like me and a bit sort of, you know, sausage fingers, trying to paint small little parts like these are pretty much a no-no. Also, as you might notice, the harnesses are like the steel version. They are all done ready for you, so there's nothing to do with those apart from just bend them into position and put them in, so that's a nice easy fix. Then we got your old-fashioned type of PE on the back, as you can see. So this is that top of the cockpit type area. These are these front and the back ends of the actual lifted wing system and on the wing box, and a few other parts, as you can see down in there. Locking eyes, things like that for the actual main gear. So very nice indeed. Everything you would need. Mask set. Really nice you get these. You either love them or hate them, and it's funny, it's one of those things, 50-50. If I speak to 100 modelers, I'll have 50 people of those 100 will use them every single time. The others won't touch them because they can't be bothered and they're too fiddly. So it literally has always been a very close drawn out thing. Do people use them or not? As I say, personally I don't really use them, but I know lots of people who do. So the kit itself is pretty old, okay? But it is very, very nicely detailed. You do get little bits of flash on it, stuff like that. This is one of their older ones, but it does tend to be on all the parts and streets. But as you can see, it's quite a large aircraft. So down in here, if you're talking nose to tail, you're going to be looking at just around about 34 centimetres. At least it's not very wide, so it will stand on a shelf and not take up too much room. But generally you can see very, very nice detail. So when you get into the close-ups of it and you start looking at some of the finer points, we catch it in the light, you can see down there, it's what we're saying, it has got some very, very nice details already in the plastic. Again, this is what I say is actually a beautifully done aircraft. Very nice rendition of the actual Crusader. Okay, some of the other parts we got down in here for obviously the main wheel. This is that top area. You are going to see this. You can actually notice this quite a lot. This is the back edge, this is the front, and obviously you're going to do it in that sort of off green because this is actually the intake system going down to the first stage compressor blades just behind it. So it is an integral part of the actual aircraft itself. But as you can see, this is the center box between the main gears. Beautifully detailed with all these parts on here. No ejector pins, as you can see down in these intakes. They're very nice, but you are going to need just to clean them up a little bit, as you said before. But you can see even the nozzle, there is aftermarket one available if you wanted to go down that way, but actually it's not too bad at all. And then down on this one, as you can see, really very, very nice details. You have got some small ejector pin marks on the upper side, which you are going to have to just sand off. Just take out these here, just don't worry about that one, you'll never see it. This one up here, again, you are going to have to be lying on the floor to be able to see all of this, but you know what it's like, you'll get people who will do that. Okay, a little bit of work just on the inside, but as you say, it's very minimal, anything inside all this. But as you can see, it's a nice solid box construction with all of this, which actually gives the aircraft good strength and things like that. You are going to have to open up some little holes as well if you're going to be doing it with the pylons on, okay? But generally, they are very nice. The wing section, as I say, it's a big old wing section with these. As you can see, it's pretty good stuff, all of this. When you actually get the parts like this, you can get a feel for the size of the aircraft. But don't forget, you've got flaps and slats got to fit on this wing, so it's going to beef it up. It's going to be a lot bigger. But like everything, as you can see under here, on the underside, you've got a little bit of plumbing work running around underneath here. But again, all the way down in these parts. Now, say the only limiting thing on this kit has always been it doesn't have the wing fold option. Which is always a little bit disappointing when you get to do naval aircraft, because it's always nice to be able to button them up and everything else like that, but unfortunately there's no option on this one. But again, it's a I don't know when this kit was actually released. I think it was in the early 90s. But again, it's one of Hasegawa's what I call classic series. They really are very nice kits. So down in here we've got the flaps and slats and everything else, and as you can see they're all detailed very nice. You do get the odd little sink mark on some of the Hasegawa kits, but this one really isn't too bad. The only thing you do want to watch is things like in here, classic example just down on this one, this is actually quite pronounced, okay? So make sure you sand that off, because it's a perfect sandwich to these, and even though you can probably see them in the light where they've tried to polish out these a little bit, they're pretty nasty still, okay? So make sure you have got these down pat. Classic example, this guy here is really tall in this edge, but if you try to sandwich it together, you're just going to be, you know, having no joy at all. It's going to come back and bite you. So make sure they're sanded out, and then 2 minutes spent doing that will save you a couple of hours worth of hassle later down the line. We'll look at that in a moment. That's weapons. Okay, so this is some of the smaller stuff. So down in here you can see we've got the gear, all the pylons and parts and everything else. We've actually got the strakes down the back. We have got the sidewinder rails, but you obviously don't get sidewinders in here. And a good example is this is the gear, the normal one, and then this is the resin one. As you can see, they are totally different. There's so much more detail in the aftermarket one, and actually the diameter of the tyre is a little bit smaller than the kit one as well, okay? But from a detail point of view, it's like night and day with these. They are totally different, especially on the back half. When you look down in here, and then obviously you look what you're going to get with the actual aftermarket one. All right, so very nice to see. Generally the rest of it's not too bad. There's no real heavy duty burring with these. The parts are quite easily cleaned up. You are going to get a couple of little ejector pin marks around the gear. You're going to have to take care of those, but to be honest, that's part of what we're dealing with when you're looking at a kit of this age. Down in here, like the nice touch, which is always with all the Hasegawa ones, you do get a pilot, okay, even if you don't get weapons, but you do get a pilot obviously with the head. The seat, again, when you compare it to what you've got the seat down here compared to the replacement one, yeah, it's very much worthwhile doing it. Then obviously we've got the main pylons down in here, then we've actually got the side pylons as well, so you could have twin sidewinders on there, or you could actually have obviously twin rocket pods, which are included in the kit. Okay, doors, various things you can see down on here, and again unfortunately you have got, showing its age, ejector pins on the insides of the doors. Okay, so this is old school, so unfortunately if you are worried about it, you're going to have to go in there and sand those out. But all the doors have got ejector pins on them, even this tiny front ones, unfortunately got tiny little ejector pins just down in there, so bit of a negative point for that one. That's a duplicate, you've seen that. And then down on here we've actually got the Zoomy rocket pods down on there, very nicely done. Again, it's an extra because normally they don't come with them. Okay, but yeah, you've got the twin pack rocket pods for those, and there it is. So we've just got the canopy, so polycaps everywhere. Okay, the canopy doesn't look too bad. As I say, they're not as of today's kits, they're a little bit foggy. You can see it's not as clear as perhaps we would get on a modern AAA title manufacturer or Hobby Boss or someone like that, but it's there. If anything, that, I don't know, maybe it's just because of the cutting mat shown through, it looks a little bit tinged, but it's not as clear as perhaps you'd want, and it's certainly not as sharp as perhaps you'd want. But again, it's an older kit. You know, this kit's technically what now, 20 years old, so it is, you know, it's coming up for 30 years old, I think, in a lot of ways, so it's probably just showing its age just a little bit in some of these details. But again, shake and bake straight out of the bag. You know, if you're going to build it out of the box, absolutely perfect. It's a really nice kit. It goes together extremely well. I've built quite a few of these over the years. I think I'm down to about 10 of these I've built over the years, and they always go together really, really nicely. Just remember your seams. There's big seams all the way around this, top and bottom. Get those right, the rest of it is fine. The wing alignment as well is very straightforward. Don't be stressed about that. It literally plugs in, and that's the way you go with it. So in some ways, there's no real sort of alignment issues or problems with it. It goes together really, really well. So there we go, that's Eduard's reboxing of the Hasegawa's amazingly brilliant, and everybody should have one, Crusader.